So thank you, Dahlia. So we lawyers, even when we're writers, we're still principally lawyers, I think. And that's the perspective I want to bring to this evening. I think I want to look forward. How does America proceed to deal with this tortured legacy that's being left behind by the Bush administration? And maybe we can just start with a question: can Barack Obama end torture on January 20th? And the answer is yes, he can. In fact, there are 3 points. He's promised to close Guantanamo. What does that mean? 3 things he can do on his first day in office, very cleanly, very simply. One of them is he can issue an executive order that provides that the program, George Bush referred to it with the personal pronoun, my program. I'm delighted to see him exercise a personal interest in it. He is responsible for it. He can order that the program be discontinued. And specifically, he can also direct that the intelligence service, the CIA, abide by the same rules with respect to intelligence interrogations that bind the uniformed military today. That was a legislative initiative that Lisa Massimino and her group, among others, played a big role in last year against the opposition of the Bush administration. But Barack Obama can implement that with a stroke of the pen. Secondly, he can end the process of extraordinary renditions. That's a strange legalism, extraordinary renditions. What does it mean? It means torture by proxy. Because even though the Bush administration was happy to use all sorts of techniques, like waterboarding, long time standing, hypothermia, and as we're going to be hearing shortly, the use of psychotropic drugs, the Bush administration wouldn't use all sorts of other techniques, but it was happy to deliver prisoners to other nations that use those techniques. Morocco, Tunisia, for instance, a number of others. Barack Obama can terminate that program with the stroke of the pen. Third, the military commissions, which are referred to by some of their participants as the puppet theater in Guantanamo. That includes prosecutors who are working on it, have referred to it that way to me. He can order the commissions to stand down and stop operations on the first day. The Bush administration right now is working feverishly to impede Barack Obama's accomplishment of his promise. You're reading this in the newspapers every day. You're hearing intelligence experts tell us, oh, when he is settled with these burdens, he's going to realize he really can't do these things. It's impossible to do these things. I'm told by one prosecutor in the Guantanamo team that they've been put under pressure by the Bush administration to bring a whole series of new cases just before Barack Obama is sworn in, all designed to embarrass, obfuscate, delay, complicate his implementation of his pledge against torture. But Barack Obama, I think, should have the moral resolve, I think will have the moral resolve to act on all these things. But having done that, does that mean that torture is over forever as a matter of policy in the United States? No, it isn't. No, it isn't, because the Bush administration has established a precedent. We have a legal system that operates on the basis of precedents. The power and authority of the presidency is measured largely by what presidents in the past have done and gotten away with. And it has been a central tenet of this administration, the Bush-Cheney administration, maybe we should refer to it as the Cheney shogunate, in fact, for these purposes. It has been a central tenet that torture is a policy alternative that every president has and he can resort to if he chooses. By the way, of course, once he does so, he's instantly going to define whatever he does as not torture, which is his way of avoiding federal criminal statutes in the United States that make torture unlawful. And that also explains the need for people like John Yoo, who will render any legal opinion you ask them to render. So how do we get beyond this issue of precedent? And the answer to that question is found on the last page of the summary of the 29-page report that was issued by Senators Levin and McCain that Dahlia already referred to. It said, these facts cry out for accountability. In fact, when John McCain was asked, what do you mean accountability? He said, well, it's not for me to answer that question. And I understand that there were individuals in the White House who had something of a shock hearing that, because of course they expected him to push back on that issue. But neither John McCain nor any other member of the Senate committee who were involved in this investigation, and there were 12 Republican senators involved in the investigation, were prepared to defend or push back on this, because I believe most of them feel strongly that there should be some sort of action taken. You should all obtain that 29-page report. It's just a summary. And the whole report, which is more than 100 pages long and in great detail, has not been released because it's filled with classified information. Why is that? Because when the Bush administration violates the law, and torture is a violation of the law, it cloaks its conduct in secrecy and security classifications. I don't think we're going to see that report declassified for public consumption until the Bush administration has left office, but I think after it has left office, we're going to be learning a lot more about the details of these operations. I think there's quite a bit more to learn. So how can President Obama secure the confidence and trust of the world in America's commitment to abide by its international law obligations? Hell, to abide by American criminal law. How can he do that? He can do that by ferreting out all the facts and publishing them so that the American public knows, which I think is best pursued by a commission of inquiry. And then when that commission finds, as it will, that serious criminal conduct occurred, by appointing, having his Attorney General appoint a special prosecutor to fully investigate allegations of crimes and bring prosecutions as required. And I have a recommendation for the President-elect as to who should do this. I think it's time for Patrick Fitzgerald to be brought back to Washington. And I think it's time for him to have another pass at Dick Cheney. Since he's told some of his friends that he feels he didn't quite take it as far the first time as he should have, it's time for him to have a second opportunity. And I think we'll all see this is going to do wonders for the American Constitution, for the rule of law in this country, and for America's image in the world today. Thank you.